Well, welcome everybody. This is the Sorority Life Tech Talk. My name is Thomas Strawn. I'm the coordinator of Fraternity and Sorority Life here at Arkansas Tech University. And I'm excited for all y'all to be here. Arkansas Tech Fraternity and Sorority Life has a lot of great opportunities, and it's a great place to get involved here on campus. And I really hope that, y'all really consider joining an organization this fall. And I'm going to kick it over to Gabby to let her introduce herself.
Hi, so my name's Gabby, and I currently serve as the Panhellenic Director of Structured Recruitment. So basically, my job is to talk to potential new members about the recruitment process. I also work with all 4 chapters during recruitment, before recruitment, after recruitment, to make sure the recruitment process is as smooth and effective and, great as possible. I'm currently in the works of kind of finishing up some things for the fall, so that way we have events and have different resources for you guys when you do come to campus. And I'm just kind of here to answer any questions and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Gabby. So just to give you a little bit of background information about our community, we currently have 9 fraternities and 5 sororities. So these range from all different sizes, and they actually have different values and different things that they do on a yearly basis that really kind of make them unique and special. So our fraternities that we obviously have more of those, but our sororities are typically larger in number. And those are our Panhellenic organizations. And then we also, for sororities, have one NPHC sorority, which is a traditionally Black and or African American sorority here established on our campus. So the good thing about all of our organizations is you can be from any background, race, or ethnicity and join any organization. And it also gives everybody the opportunity through the structured recruitment process to go and meet everybody. The only exception is Zeta Phi Beta, which is our national Panhellenic organization. They do not do a structured process. They do an intake process, which is a little bit different. So through all the sororities, it really is what you make of it for the most part. Each of our sororities really offers, different programming to a certain extent, and all of them have really good members that you can join and that you can get the experience that you want to out of. And I'm going to kick it over to Gabby for a little bit more information into just about what sorority life looks like here on the Tech campus.
So for sorority life, I personally, like kind of a personal testimony, I came in my freshman year. I didn't really know anybody. I moved from Texas, so I was moving 5 hours away. I knew my roommate, and that was basically it. So my sister was in a sorority back at her university. She was Texas State, and she said nothing but good things about it. She didn't know a lot of people when she went into college either, and she said it was a great way to not only make connections, but to kind of build off a resume and give you more opportunities within college. So I decided, what the heck, I'll do it. So I went through the recruitment process in fall 2017. Oh my gosh, I'm getting old. And I went every single night and I met the different chapters. I went to all the events before the recruitment process, and I found the one that I love. And right now I'm disaffiliated, so I'm not promoting my chapter like all the other girls in my sorority are, but I love it. It's given me so many opportunities, not just within Greek life, but also within the campus. I have had opportunities to work with residence life, beyond the student government, jobs, just stuff like that. I'm able to connect with sisters around the nation, and I meet them at different conferences. I saw one of them when we went to Indianapolis this past January for a Greek life conference. I met one of them there, and I went to our national convention a couple years ago. It's just a great way to not only become a leader, individually, but you also get to do this with a group of women, which is great. I also have been a part of Panhellenic, like specifically for the last 2 years. I was a recruitment counselor last year, and now I'm on the executive board, but I'm also a part of the Circle of Sisterhood, which is Panhellenic's philanthropy. And with that, we did kind of like a lip sync battle type dance battle thing last year. And I mean, I organized all of it, and we raised almost $2,000 for the Circle of Sisterhood, which was just a great experience. It was the first thing we'd ever done with Circle of Sisterhood, first event I had ever created that was ever that successful. So being in a sorority not only allows you to meet your really good friends, but it also gives you opportunities to grow yourself. And I've met tons of people, not only within my own organization, but the other organizations. I have friends in all chapters, fraternities and sororities. And I mean, these are like friends for life. They really are. It's not just 4 years, it really is forever, which I thought was so cliche. And I was like, whatever, I'm going to graduate and I'm not going to talk to these people again. But I mean, these are people I see cheering me on in my job, being in my wedding, the whole 9 yards. It's everything. I think I answered that. I answered a lot of different parts of that, Thomas.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks, Gabby. And so a little bit kind of reeling back to our community, we're founded on the principles of scholarship, leadership, service, and unity, which is what Gabby kind of talked about a lot. A lot of the programming experiences and the leadership experiences you get out of fraternity and sorority life are very unique, just because it encompasses so many different areas. So maybe you're really into intramurals. We have intramural chairs inside each of these organizations that might be of interest to you. Or if you want to be president of an organization or vice president, manage a budget of, thousands of dollars, raise money worth of thousands of dollars. It's a really good advantage, not only for your resume, but for you personally. You learn how to do things outside of the classroom that you didn't think you might be able to accomplish. And that's something that, I took from my experience as well. So some advantages of membership, and Gabby hit on a lot of these, is, you always have a support group. You have people that are there to support you to help you graduate. They put on study halls and different other kinds of academic programs to try to help you. Uh, Leadership skills, service and philanthropy projects, networking opportunities, meeting other alumni, meeting people of other organizations. Member development programs. So whenever you join an organization, you have to go through member development, and they try to, get you acquainted with the campus and try to teach you things about the organization that could help in your future development. And as well as conferences, Gabby talked a little bit about the leadership conference we attended, this past year in Indianapolis. So there are a lot of leadership opportunities that you can take from being a member of a fraternity or a sorority here on our campus. Just some facts about our community is our GPA is higher than the all-campus average. And so these weren't taken from this past spring, but taken from last year. We're still running the data on this past semester's information. The men's and women's GPA is higher than amongst students who aren't affiliated. 40% of our population was on the dean's list, which means 3.5 or higher. 15% have a 4.0. And so, a lot of great data that comes behind us academically. And like I said, they also do great things for our community, such as service. They'll go out and do different things, whether that's, trash pickups, whether that's working at the animal shelter, or raising, food for our local backpack program. They do a lot of great work with their service and philanthropy. They also put on social events. They put on events with other organizations on campus. They're fun. It's a good way to go out and connect. It's a great way to meet people. Like I said, we have retreats and leadership development opportunities. And the great thing about this is you're never bored because there's events going on all year. And actually, sometimes you have to tell yourself, no, I don't need to go to this event because I have such a busy schedule this week. So there are events going on, probably 2 or 3 events per organization per week. It's a great way to get involved and actually have a lot of fun while you're here on campus. And so a big question that we typically get, and hopefully I can answer most of this before we get to the questions, are commitments, time, financial, and academics. So time, it's weekly. It depends on if you're a new member and or if you're just a regular member. So new members typically have to put in a little bit more time. Sometimes, typically it's around 4 to 6 hours per week, which didn't seem like a lot. But that 4 to 6 hours, whenever you have 2 or 3 events, that can really rack up your schedule, especially if you're involved in other things. So there is a slight time commitment. Whenever you're a member, it's pretty much the same time requirement, maybe more if you're in a leadership role. There is a new member education process, so all new members pretty much over an 8-week period will have to go to a new member class a couple hours a week. But overall, it is a really good uh, use of learning about your organization and learning about the things that are available. Uh, and added to that time commitment are those social events, are the community service hours. Uh, some of our organizations have requirements for service hours as well as study hours. So financial dues can be anywhere for a new member from $450 to $766 a semester. Dues for new members are typically higher because you have to pay fees to the national organization for insurance and for other things. Initiated members, once you become a full member, it's significantly cheaper. It's about $375 to $673. Sororities dues are typically higher, and that's because they do more programs typically than our fraternities do. And there's also optional fees such as t-shirts, merchandise, social events. So, you'll see people with Greek lettered shirts everywhere. You have to pay for those. A big mistake that I made my first semester was I bought all the shirts, everybody's shirt, and those are like $15 a piece. And so I owed quite a bit of money on my last financial statement for the semester.
I spent like
But
$200 my first semester.
yeah, but they're optional. Those are optional purchases. Uh, and so the great thing kind of about these different commitments and time is that you're going to get something out of it. And so whenever I mean get something out of it is like, you're putting in the money for dues and you're putting in this time, but you're either taking, leadership programming out of it, or you're getting to meet people out of it, or you're getting to put on fun events. These dues that you pay just don't go to the organization. They pay for things that the organization does that you're a part of. So if you have any questions about that, y'all can ask me here in a second. Our contact information, and I know Megan's going to give that to y'all there at the end, but we do have an Instagram account at ATU Greeks. So please follow our Instagram account. We'll definitely have a lot of information regarding recruitment on that, especially in the upcoming months about information that y'all need to know. Recruitment is going to be different this year than it has been in years past because of the COVID recovery plan. Depending on what phase we're in, depends on, what recruitment's really going to look like for the structured sorority recruitment, for the CPC structured recruitment. And phase 0 means we're all virtual, but we'll have a structured online virtual recruitment. So it'll be similar to our in-person recruitment, except it'll be done all through Zoom. Our phase 1, which is 30 people per space, we will still have the in-person with mask, and everybody socially distancing. So we'll still be able to meet in person. We'll just split the groups up smaller. So that means you're going to get a more intimate meeting with the members of that chapter, but it'll also work out really well because you'll have the opportunity to still see everybody in person. The same thing goes for phase 2 or phase 3. We will make sure that y'all have all the information sent to y'all. So if you haven't signed up for recruitment yet, please sign up for recruitment. It's on our website. It's on the, you can type in ATU FSL into your search bar, pull up recruitment, and sign up on Campus Director that way. That is, the best way for us to have your contact information. And once we get that, we will send y'all the information regarding dates and times, registration, and orientation. Orientation, which happens at the very beginning of recruitment, that will be online as well. But we will make sure that y'all have all the information necessary for y'all to gain a little bit of knowledge about each one of the organizations, as well as have a quick careaway tour of the sorority living facilities that we have on campus. So recruitment's going to look a little bit different, but we're going to make sure to send y'all all the information you need. So basically all you have to do is either log in or show up. And we have recruitment counselors that are undergraduate students that disaffiliate, that help all potential new members through the process. So you'll hear people say the word PNM, which means potential new member. That is someone that is looking to join an organization. And we will make sure to try to give y'all all that information beforehand as much as possible. If we have last minute changes, we'll also let you know that as quickly as possible. But communication is our biggest area of importance, especially, during this, making these COVID related changes. So we'll make sure that we're keeping you posted on everything. And I'm looking at the group chat right now. I know many members. So this is Sierra. I hope that's how you say your name. The question is, I know many members are very active on campus, but how do you balance classes, your sorority, and other clubs? You have to have, yeah, you go ahead.
I didn't know if you wanted me to answer these or if you did.
No. You go ahead and go for it. Gabby is literally involved in everything that you could possibly be involved in. So she's the one to ask.
There you go. So for me, I'm a huge planner. I say that, and I literally have my planner in front of me right now. Also, just kind of a college tip, if you don't have a planner, buy one. It's the most useful thing I've used all throughout college. But for me, I balance my classes, my sorority, all of the other 8 organizations I'm in, all with my planner. I literally, sometimes depending on if my week's going to be crazy, I make a schedule from 8 a.m. to midnight. And I have to like pencil in when I eat lunch, so that way I know I'm on track with everything. Like Thomas said earlier with time commitment, there's some weeks where I have 2 events to go to in class. So my time commitment is maybe 4 hours a week, if that. There are weeks that, because not only am I on the Panhellenic Executive Board, I'm also on my executive board. I serve as a vice president for my organization. And I mean, with my 16 hours of class, there's some weeks where I might not be asleep until 2 a.m. When I was a new member, things were a lot different. I was only having to kind of juggle classes, new member classes, and then any events that I wanted to attend, whether that was like a sisterhood, if we did something with another organization, fun stuff like that. So my first couple semesters before I got heavily involved and was on my executive board, it wasn't hard at all to balance. I had super high GPA. I was on the dean's list. And I mean, it was very doable. It really just kind of does depend on the weeks. But I think as long as you stay on top of your priorities and kind of prioritize, it's totally doable.
And I'll just kind of go off what Gabby said. I completely agree. Planning is super huge. My first semester, whenever I joined, I struggled with time management. I really did. And it's because coming from high school, you know, even though like I had extracurriculars and I was going to school 40 hours a week, you're only going to class 15 hours a week. And you have all this free time. You're like, oh, I can make up for XYZ here, XYZ here. But really you're just, you know, filling your schedule with things maybe you don't need to. So instead of, you know, homework, you know, I was going and, you know, going to an event, going and get, you know, Old Post barbecue or whatever, like going to work out, going fishing. And I just like wasn't prioritizing necessarily my schoolwork. And so it took me, well, pretty much I got my midterm grades and they were not very good. And so pretty much it came down to, you know, the moment where I had to ask one of my fraternity brothers for help. And he was a senior and he had a really good GPA. And he's like, man, you gotta make a schedule. You gotta make a calendar. You gotta have a to-do list of some sort. And you really gotta make out a schedule for each week. And I know like now it doesn't seem very much fun, but you know, I ended up making the dean's list by the end of that semester because I worked super hard and because I stuck to a certain schedule. So make sure that you are doing that. And I know whenever you get here, you're gonna like, oh, I have so much time to study, but you know, you're going to make a lot of friends here. They're going to want to go and do stuff with y'all. Y'all are going to do activities, go out on the lake. And so making sure you're prioritizing the things that are important to you is what's key.
And that's another thing, being a new member, you typically have to get library hours. I know some organizations do that just to kind of make sure that when members join, it's not like, okay, welcome to a sorority. Hope you can keep your grades up. They want you to do well. I know with me when I first got in, my roommate and I were going to the library together, and we would ask older members like, can you come with us? Can you show us where the nearest, you know, the best place to study is? Like what's most effective? And I think sometimes there's stereotypes where like older members can be mean. I still have an older member. She was a senior when I was a freshman. We still talk every single day. She's the reason why I have been a vice president twice. and why I did so well my first semester is because she was kind of like the mom I didn't have at school. And that's exactly what older members want. They want you guys to, when they leave, you be better versions than they were. And that's what I tell the members now that are younger than me. I say, I've done all these things. You have so much more potential than I do. And yeah, I was just kind of going off that. I went off a tangent though. Does anybody have any questions?
Absolutely. Let's open up the floor.
In the chat, or I guess you can say them if you want, either one. Thank you, Megan, for putting in the Instagrams. We're more active on the Panhellenic one. That's where we'll post our recruitment counselors. If we do Zoom sessions, myself and the president are trying to do something every month up until recruitment. I think the month of July we were going to do based on sisterhood and try to get a couple members from organizations kind of speak on their sisterhood.
We have another question in the chat that says, what are you looking for in new members?
You want to tackle this, Thomas, or you want me to?
Yeah, well, I can go in first, and you can elaborate a little bit more. Each organization looks for something different. It depends on what their values are, how they connect with you. So it's not necessarily what they're always looking for. It's about the connection and how you will fit into the organization, how I guess you could say how your values fit into what they're doing in their programming in their everyday life. And basically, I don't think there's just like one attribute that each organization is just looking for. I think it's like all encompassing. Like, they just don't take in, it's not just your resume, it's about how you can communicate, how you can effectively communicate. It's about building those connections. And so a lot of people when I'm saying this, I know I'm kind of sounding like a robot here, but really whenever you get into the structured recruitment, it's about the relationships that you're building. And I think that is something that is very unique about, sororities and organizations on this campus, is that they're just not looking for a number. They're looking to get to know the person. And so, I can't say that this organization is looking for this, even though they have specific values that they're looking for. You just got to find out, what the right organization is for you. That really is a big part of it. So they're going to see if you'll fit in well with them, if you'll go with the values, if you like their program, their philanthropy, their service. And then if that's something that you're interested in, that organization might be a priority to you. And Gabby, you can go ahead and talk about it as well.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, well, yeah, definitely. So for each organization, like I said, within our structured recruitment, there are the 4 sororities. So there is Alpha Sigma Tau, Delta Zeta, Zeta Tau Alpha, and Phi Mu. And in each of those sororities, there's going to be a different set of values. So you'll learn that kind of coming into orientation night. We'll go over the different values, and there'll be, tons of information. And like I said, if Lauren and I are able to get with presidents or the recruitment chairs this summer, we want to be able to have kind of like a sisterhood Zoom session, since the semester is going to look a little different. So that way we can answer those questions, and that way it can come firsthand from a member of that chapter, and they can tell you kind of, well, we speak on this and this and this and this. So if your values kind of align with that, this chapter might be something that you're interested in. I definitely suggest keeping an open mind. I went into recruitment and I said, I've researched sorority A's, everything, and I loved them. But the more I went into the rounds, I realized, sorority B might actually be where I want to go. So definitely keep an open mind. And that's kind of the best way to decide what's best for you. That's if that helped a little bit.
And then, Gabby just talked about, that was CPC recruitment. So that's 4 of the 5 sororities that we have. Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, they do an intake process. So if you're interested in joining that organization, you can email me or fsl@atu.edu, or go to the link. And so on the link under Fraternity and Sorority Life, we have a form that you fill out. It's an interest form. and then we will connect you directly to the organization.
Yes.
And so, Mary, does Tech have an SAI chapter? No, we do not. We do not currently have that organization here on our campus. Are you talking about Sigma Alpha Iota?
Yes.
Yes, she
Okay.
is.
Okay. So actually, I think we do have Sigma Alpha Iota, but that is a music organization. And so they're not technically under my umbrella. But you can go to the link at atu.edu and you can look up all the organizations and see what we have.
There should be contact information for them too, if that is something you're interested in, and they might be able to answer more questions.
All right. What other questions do you guys have? Feel free to either unmute yourself and you can go ahead and just ask, or if you would rather type them in the chat box, you can do that as well.
Any question really? I've answered a lot of different ones over the years. My favorite one is, does this mean you get to travel to Greece? I loved that one. I said no, but I've been.
Gabby, what's your favorite part about being a member of a sorority?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I honestly think that there's different elements that I like. The older I've gotten, the more I've appreciated my leadership roles, and I'm glad I was kind of able to serve as a vice president my freshman year, which is typically you don't get that kind of opportunity like that. And for me, I was able to start really early and serve the community and serve my sisters a lot sooner. And I'm so glad I was able to do that. And then, I mean, serving on Panhellenic has kind of been a different perspective for me. I love my organization, but I remember during recruitment last year, I told a potential new member, because, you know, they were very much so like, I don't know who to pick. And, you know, this, and this, and this, and this, like, I like this chapter. I don't think I, you know, go well with this one. And for me, like, her first thing was, why are you in your chapter? Or like, tell me which one you're in, which I obviously can't do. But for me, I couldn't think of a negative thing to say about all the four. And I enjoy spreading unity more than I do just join my sorority, which is great. And I'm so glad that we have women that are so ambitious enough to say, like, here are 1,000 reasons why you should join our organization. And we need women like that are good recruiters and that are good resources for those own organizations. But for me, my favorite part about being in Greek life is being able to recruit everyone to join this kind of community. I've made, like I said, so many friends in all chapters, friends that have graduated, friends that aren't going to graduate until I graduate grad school. So, I mean, lots of different things. Yeah, a lot of things.
Sierra wants to know what your favorite Greek event is.
Other than the one I created, Mock Rock, my favorite Greek event is actually Greek Week in general, which is a really cool thing. I'm sad we didn't get to do it this spring due to COVID, but my freshman and sophomore year, basically with Greek Week, there's teams. So you're kind of grouped together. Since there's 4 sororities and more fraternities, it's typically 2 fraternities to a sorority. And within that week, I mean, there's so many different events that we do. We do the Greek games, so we compete against other chapters, and there's the dance battle. But I think my favorite part is the food drive we do. And I know Thomas has probably got exact numbers on this, but we have raised so much food to go to our local food banks in Russellville. And like I said, service is a big deal for us. So being able to see in Caraway, every single hallway was lined up for food. If you lived in Caraway, good luck. You weren't sleeping in Caraway that week because your door was probably blocked by some food. And it's just so great to see all of the work that we put in go out to our community. I was able to go to the River Valley Food for Kids and literally see where all of this was going and transported to the schools, which was a great thing. And I think it kind of opens our eyes to kind of seeing, like, if you have the ability to give back, you should. If you want to give statistics on that, Thomas, you probably have more numbers than I do.
Yeah, especially, yeah, and I have to agree. I mean, Greeks Give Back is our largest philanthropy event of the year. We raised over 40,000 food items for the Russellville backpack program, which gives students a backpack full of food whenever they're leaving school, so they have something to eat. It's a great event. We've been doing it for quite a few years, and like I said, 40,000 food items, and every year it just keeps on getting bigger. And it's something that we pride ourselves on, being able to provide that for our community. So it's a really great event, and from our 600 members, them being able to put that much effort and that much money behind it to get all that food together is just it makes you feel good. It makes you realize, like, we're here for more than one reason. We're here to give back, and that is something that's always been important to me. I had and I guess another question that's always commonly asked, and this is kind of off of the event, but someone typically asks, like, can you talk about hazing? And so hazing is a question that a lot of new members have questions about and are worried about. Arkansas Tech has a zero tolerance policy for hazing. And we do a lot of hazing prevention seminars, modules to make sure that the members of our organizations are not participating in any hazing. So we have hazing online modules that every single person in fraternity and sorority life has to take in order to be in good standing. And so it's 100% completion by every single member that is in our community. So they're given the information, they know about it. And if we ever hear of hazing or a hazing case, we do an investigative process to make sure that it's not occurring. If it is occurring, like I said, zero tolerance. Most of the time, it could be getting kicked off campus. It could be them losing their charter. It really depends on what's going on, but we do not tolerate hazing here at Arkansas Tech University.
And that's honestly probably one of my favorite events we do is Order of Omega does our, like, I don't remember what it's called, anti-hazing week or
Yeah, hazing prevention week.
Hazing prevention week. That's probably one of my favorite things because we all come together as the organizations and raise awareness for that. It is, we post it on our social media, different ways to kind of advocate for the, people are hazed, and I'm lucky that our campus has such a big prevention on it and that we really do speak that truth that we don't. And Thomas is a great resource for all things that we need for anything hazing related.
Thomas, can you clarify exactly what is hazing and what's considered hazing?
Yes. So hazing is any action taken or any situation created intentionally that causes embarrassment, harassment, or ridicule towards members of an organization or towards new members, really specifically. It can, risk, any kind of emotional or physical harm to members or a group of team. And a lot of y'all have seen either movies and or stereotypes of this in a lot of type of fraternity and sorority movies in different situations. And, sometimes in some of these movies, you'll see things like them making, someone fold someone else's clothes, or you'll see them making people clean a house or, doing different chores, or even as severe as, paddling and things of that nature. So things like that are hazing. And I see, so like the burning, yes, like burning sand, like doing calisthenics, making people run and do, certain things that really impair a person's ability to not only feel like a person or a human being, but that causes them, emotional and or physical abuse. So that was a good burning sand. Yes, absolutely.
All right, what other questions do you guys have about sorority life, the recruitment process, anything about being Greek or sisterhood, anything like that? Or any other questions? The three of us are pretty good at answering any other questions as well.
Trying to think if there was anything I missed. With the 4 organizations that Panhellenic, that's under our Panhellenic conference, if you guys want any information about them, I know that there's kind of general information under our FSL page. And honestly, Googling, Phi Mu, Delta Zeta, it will pop up. And you can, every national organization has a website. So if you want to maybe look at them, they are firsthand, like all the information you would want about those organizations. So if you are wanting to do some research, that is probably the best kind of research you could do, is look at the national pages. Do you guys have anything else? Now I can guarantee, and Megan and Thomas will agree with me, I can answer better questions than the presenter tomorrow. I can only say that because it's my boyfriend.
All right, any last questions before we wrap this up? Feel free to unmute yourself if you would like to ask a question, or you can write it in the chat box. We are open to any and all ways to ask questions.
I can put my Panhellenic email in here. So if you guys have any questions about the recruitment process, or I'm available for like a Zoom call if you just want to ask general questions. I was in your shoes 3 years ago, so I had tons of questions and I wish I would have used my resources better. So I'll put my email in there. If you have any questions, if there's any I can't answer, I'll forward them to Thomas. Thomas should be able to answer them.
In the chat, we also have included the link to the fraternity and sorority website that where you can sign up for recruitment. So even if you're not 100% sold on doing this yet, it's better to sign up, and so that way you can start receiving more information about it. And so you can then decide if this is not a process for you, then you don't have to go through it. But I do know a lot of students that have gone through the process and decided, you know what, this is definitely something that I wanted to do, and joined an organization. But there's also been students that have gone through the recruitment process and decided, you know what, this is not something that I'm interested in. This is not something that I feel like fits me. And so you don't have to actually join a sorority at the end of this process. So there's no harm going through the recruitment and meeting a lot of people and making a lot of new friends, but it's not something that you're bound to do throughout the process.
Absolutely. So through any of our processes, at any point, you can choose not to join. There are certain deadlines and criteria with our CPC sororities, with their Panhellenic sororities, with the structured process, and that, on the last day, if you sign basically a piece of paper that's saying, I agree to accept a bid, and you don't accept it, you have to wait a year. But, just because you're going through the process doesn't necessarily mean that you're automatically joining. It's like literally, it's like getting to meet them to decide if you want to join.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and
So the recruitment process for Panhellenic is over 1 weekend, basically. So we will have what we term pre-recruitment events, kind of get to know you opportunities before recruitment starts. But it'll start the weekend after Labor Day, and over 1 weekend for this specific recruitment process, you have an open house night where you visit all the organizations. You have a philanthropy night where you still get to meet most of the organizations. And then you have preference night, which is what is it, Gabby, is that right? Preference night is their night.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the preference night, and then the next day's bid day. So it's pretty much crunched into one weekend. I know it sounds kind of intimidating, but each round is about an hour the first night. And so as you go through the process, you're kind of using process of elimination to some extent to kind of decide what organization or chapter is right for you. And so throughout the process, there is a recruitment fee attached to it. And so that pays for your shirt and the stuff that we have to pay, for recruitment with different supplies and things that we typically do, and even, snacks for y'all in between rounds. But, this process is created so that y'all get to meet every single organization in an amount of time that is appropriate, that allows you to get to know them and also see everybody. And then also for our MPHE sorority, Zeta Phi Beta, they do intake. So the recruitment process is a little bit different. It's not as what I would call public. So basically, you'll go to an informational session, they'll get your contact information, and then for them, they'll start their intake and/or new member education process. And so that is completely different. It's a little bit more, secretive to a certain extent, in that when you're going through until you become an initiated member, you don't know, no one knows that you're a new member of that organization. So it's a little bit different, but those are the two processes that we have. So the 4 CPC sororities do just the structured recruitment. Zeta Phi Beta sorority incorporated, they do the intake process. And so those are the 2 different processes that we have.
All right, any other questions before we end this and finalize everything? All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and post our Tech Talk attendance form. So those of you that are attending this to complete your Tech Talk requirement for the online pre-orientation, but also just because you're interested in the information, make sure you click on this link and you complete this form in order to tell us that you attended this session, so we can go ahead and cross that off and make sure that you're getting credit for it. By filling out this form, this also gives us your contact information, and so we can then follow up with information about sorority recruitment, as well as any other sessions that you attend. After you attend any other Tech Talk session, you'll want to make sure and fill out this form that will be posted at the end, so we can then follow up with more information and get you connected to the right people, especially if you happen to have any questions during the session. So we are super excited that you guys have attended this Tech Talk. So if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Otherwise, thank you so much for your attendance, and we're looking forward to seeing you at future Tech Talks and when you get onto campus in August. Thank you.